Hi, Lisa here again. Well, we've made it to the wetland. We had three things that make a wetland a wetland. I think you can see most of the things here. The first thing was that we have to have water. So here we have water in the canal to our wetland. The Otter Creek Bend is a cattail marsh, so we will have lots of cattails and things. You can see behind me we have our hydrophytic plants. Hydrophytic means water-loving plants, so we have plants that have their roots in the water. A cattail, like this one, is an example of a hydrophytic plant. A lot of times they are very kind of lush, but there's lots of grasses and arrowheads and all sorts of different types of plants that live both in the water and what we call emergent plants that come out of the water. They play a very specific role in some of the benefits of having a wetland. Another thing that we have here besides the water and the hydrophytic plants is the hydric soil. And I've collected some hydric soil here. You can see how lovely that is. Nice and dark. Hydric soil has a wonderful, I would say, earthy smell to it. Hydric soil is like a sponge. One of the things that's important for the benefits of a wetland is it has a lot of flood control, and the flood control comes from not only plants but the soil that can absorb so much water. It's very kind of drippy and squishy. Hydric soil is not only silt, but it's also lots of plant material and detritus, which is dead stuff. Detritus is important not only for regenerating the nutrients in the soil, but also for the things that live there to replenish what they need as part of their life cycle. So the three things that make a wetland: water, hydrophytic plants, and hydric soil. Now, why are wetlands important? Well, first thing we talked about with the soil. They act like a sponge. So if you're living near a wetland, the wetland can actually absorb some of the water, and therefore you keep it out of your basement. When we destroy wetlands, we destroy ways to hold water, and that's why we have so much flooding. The other thing is, this is a coffee filter. Wetlands filter the water, not only from big stuff like bottles and things like that that can get in, but very small particles and pesticides and chemicals. The roots that are found on plants like the cattails or even these grasses, they hold the soil as well as they filter out water and impurities in the water so that the silt and things drop out of it, so the water exiting the wetland is actually cleaner than the water that enters it. And the other thing is that they're teeming with life. And in here I have, you may not be able to see, in here we have a tadpole. It's probably a toad tadpole, or it could be a green frog, or it could be a leopard frog, but it's got some legs on it. So this place is not only a nursery for all sorts of animals, but also a resting place for migratory birds, such as the egrets and herons come here for the summer, but there's other animals that come through here and they kind of rest and nest, and then they move back in the winter months. So a really great place as a habitat and a place for us to have. Unfortunately, a lot of our wetlands have been destroyed. And the reason why they've been destroyed is because these areas were seen as kind of a wasteland. They were just a mosquito breeding habitat. So they were drained by using drain tiles. These clay tiles were placed in the ground, end to end, in rows that would drain the water off. This is much like a straw. If you put it end to end to end, the water would drain down here, go through the drain tile and out the other end, and oftentimes into local creeks or drainage ditches. The water would come out, and then the land would be dry and it could be farmed. Back in the 1930s, I believe, there was an act passed that any arable land had to be put into agriculture, so it was to the best benefits of landowners to make sure everything they could till could be tilled. And that's what happened to a lot of our wetlands. And today I think we have about 10% of our normal wetlands still here. So this creek, this Otter Creek Bend wetland, was actually recreated. It was actually a farm field at one point. These drain tiles I showed you, we broke them, the Park District broke them, took them out, allowed the hydrology to come back, and now we have our wetland again. So we are very thankful to have this wetland, to teach everybody about what makes a wetland and why they're important, and so that we can learn about the animals and things that live here. Thanks for joining me. I hope you learned a lot about wetlands, and I hope you come out and get muddy with me and learn about some of the creatures that live here in the wetlands soon. Thanks. Bye.